So as we just discussed in the last class, even before, um, reading a birth chart in astrology will consist of three main topics. And those three topics or three aspects are planets, houses, and signs. Does anyone have any idea what they do, what they are? Does anyone have any background here in reading birth charts or houses or planets or signs? No one? Hi, Monica.
Hi, Johnny. How are you?
Good.
Good, good.
Well, how are
Okay,
yourself?
so a little late. Yeah. We're
Monica,
waiting.
how was that?
Sorry, you were saying?
Do you have any background in reading birth charts or any idea what houses and planets and signs do?
I have a very minimal understanding of it. I wouldn't say I know much about it, but I know of it. Yes.
Okay. So basically, we're going to start with the houses today, and then the next point would be aspects, planets, signs. I sent you guys a video, like a 6-minute video in the comments. It's very important that you guys watch that video,
Oh, okay.
right?
Sorry, I did not
That's fine. That's fine. Take your time. It just makes the whole thing a lot easier.
got
Reading,
it.
yeah, when you know the rulerships of the signs, sorry, rulerships of signs and planets,
Hmm.
it just makes everything that much easier.
Okay.
Okay,
Uh,
so
should I do that now and then come back?
no, no, no. I mean, we'll go over houses today, and then you guys can always go over signs. I'm still
Mhm.
gonna go over it. It's just gonna be a lot easier for you guys
I
to
see.
connect
Okay.
if you have
Yeah.
it down pat.
I'm just trying to like
Nathan is saying he can take a guess. I don't know what he's talking about. Take a guess about what. Okay, so we will just get going on houses. I'll just start from house one.
okay. I'm just gonna put it aside so I can take notes, okay?
What was that?
I'm just gonna put the phone aside just so I can take
Yeah,
notes.
whatever, however.
Well,
It's
thank you again for doing this. And I don't know, I was very curious. So yes,
yeah,
thank you.
no problem. There's nothing that you're gonna find in this course
Mhm.
that you won't find on the internet. Okay, I'm gonna be upfront. Everything you will find all of this on the internet. You'll get a lot of points. The only thing that you're gonna learn in this course is how to connect those points because
Mhm.
you will see a lot of points that you'll find on YouTube and just on the web. You just won't know how to connect them, and that's the main part.
Yeah, that's great.
That is
Looking forward.
basically key of connecting those points to be able to read a birth chart.
Mhm. Sounds great. Sounds amazing.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I'm just gonna take notes. Listen to you.
Okay, I'm gonna share a screen with you guys.
Mhm.
So, as I said, a birth chart will consist of three main aspects: signs, planets, and houses. We're gonna do houses today. Just gonna share my screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Eres todo el tiempo, ¿cierto? Para no ir dos veces
So just
como
to,
en el fin de semana.
what was that? Okay, so just to give you guys an overview, this right here is a birth chart, okay? And the diamonds or boxes that you guys see here are houses. Before we get started, I just want to clarify the wherever you see the number one, that is the first house, but the number one doesn't denote the fact that it is the first house. The numbers just basically tell you what sign it is. So don't get fooled by that the numbers will represent that house number. That's the sign of the number, okay? This Can you guys see my cursor? See my cursor move? Wherever you see the red dot right now, that is the first house. That's always going to be the first house. And wherever you see 2, the number in that house may move depending on the time of your birth. These numbers are going to move. You probably heard of the word rising sign or ascendant. This first box is always going to be your ascendant, which is the first house is always going to be the number in that house is always going to be a rising sign. So this first house where you see the red dot represents the person whose chart we're discussing as a whole. It's going to represent his outlook, the way he behaves, how he looks, his appearance, essentially his whole body. Later on, you'll learn that you can break down your body into other body parts, and different houses will represent different body parts. But for now, just keep in mind that the first house is your physical body, as you can see, your appearance, the way that you behave. Basically, a big snapshot of your personality, including your physical appearance, is your first house.
Hmm.
Anyone have any question or anything if it contradicts what you guys have heard before or anything like that?
I have a quick question. I know on the houses, there's different kinds of birth charts. What specific birth chart would this one be?
Sorry, who's this?
This is Sherry.
Okay, Sherry, so have you been studying Western or Eastern?
Well, I've gotten readings for both, but I know that they're different. So which one is this one? Because
So
I
if,
did Jyotish or like Ayurveda, and then I did I think the Western one as well.
yeah, so Ayurveda is actually more so the medical science, the Indian medical science. This is the Vedic chart or Vedic astrology. The houses, there's no much difference between the meanings of the houses between Vedic or the Western charts. It's just that the Western chart will be circular, and I'm assuming most of you guys have seen the circular chart before. It just looks different, but the meanings are essentially pretty much the same. I haven't really come across too much discrepancies between those two charts. What just happened?
Okay, thank you.
From okay, I don't know what just happened. You guys seen this scribble, or is it just me?
Yes, there is a
Okay, it's
scribble.
gone now.
Now
I have no idea what just happened. So again, please keep in mind that where you see the dot, that's always going to be the first house, and the numbers that you see in those houses will move. Okay, but they're gonna stay in this order. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 12. It's just that their starting point is gonna be different. Okay, so always keep in mind that this is always gonna be the second house, always gonna be the third house, regardless of what number you see in that house. Okay. Okay, so let's go on to the second house. So the second house, as you can see on the chart, the second house is the red dot on the second house. That's always going to be the second house. Houses will not change. The second house basically shows the resources that you have. And when I say resources, material resources, food, anything that the second house represents sustenance of the first house. Okay, so anything that you essentially require to sustain your physical body or sustain yourself, like money or food, essentially is what you look at, why you look at the second house. Majority of the questions that will come to you will be regarding finances, and this is the house you want to go to see how this person's finances are going to be as a whole. Also, if you want to see how the person's going to make money. Okay, so people come to you, I'm having a hard time making money. I'm having a hard time saving. So this is the house you're going to go to. It also shows your family. Now there's a difference between you're gonna see the word family again when we get to the fourth house. And the fourth house is also your family, but it's slightly different. So coming back to the second house, it is your entire family. When I say entire family, I mean it would include your everyone from your cousins to your uncles, your aunts, grandfather, basically entire family, both sides. It also shows your speech. So the second house is how you communicate. Whether you're a harsh communicator, if your speech is clear or whether it's not clear, is going to be seen from the second house. Keep in mind, it doesn't show what you communicate because that's going to be the third house. What you are communicating or what you're saying is going to be the third house. We'll get there. The second house is how you communicate. Whether you, if we're talking about speech, it's even say someone's complaining about their child stuttering. Even those kind of issues are seen from the second house because it's the quality of your speech. It's how you speak, how you communicate. Any questions about the second house? So now getting to the third house, as you can see, we're talking about communication again. Again, keep in mind it is not how you communicate because that was the second house. The quality of your speech, the quality of your communication. Here we're talking about your communication skills in general, right? What you communicate, how you communicate, how well you will be able to communicate, whether it's communicating through speech or presentations or writing skills. They all fall under communication, so that would be the third house. It's also your immediate surrounding in terms of your neighborhood. Therefore, your neighbors are also seen from the third house. Because it's your immediate surroundings, it also represents short distance travels. When I say short distance travels, it would actually fall anything say under 100 to 150 kilometers will fall under the third house. Your younger siblings are also seen from the third house. As I said, documentation because that's also a way of communicating. If you get any questions regarding documentation, I'm not able to get this document approved, that document approved, whether it's through the government or through work, will be seen by the third house.
Quick question. What's the difference between speech in the previous house and then communication in the third house?
So the speech is again, it's going to be how you're talking. Whether you're like some people you'll see have difficulty communicating. They won't you. Their speech may not be clear. They may not be able to. They may stutter. A lot of speech disorders you'll be able to see from the second house. Okay, specifically speech. Okay, we're talking about speech. Second house is speech. Third house is basically communication of all sorts. Say if someone comes to you, third house is also meetings. Okay, so there's um it it really doesn't end how much information you can fit in one house, but you just basically you can look at it at the third house as what you're communicating. Okay. If you ever get a question saying, "How's my presentation going to go?" or "How my how my meeting is gonna go, how my interview is gonna go. You look at the third house. It'll get clear with time as we discuss the chart when we get to real charts. Any other questions regarding the third house?
Hi, yes, just a quick question about the third house. So here it says short distance and also change of residence.
Yeah.
Can you give me like an example? Because it could be two different distances, right?
I was gonna get into I was gonna get to change of residence right after covering the fourth house. And I'll also tell you why it is the change of residence.
Okay, thank you.
If you look at the fourth house is your domestic environment slash your home. Okay? It's the house that you live in. So there's a rule in reading birth chart. I think that applies to the Western charts as well. And the rule is that the 12th house from any house is going to negate the qualities or is going to hamper the qualities of that house. Say the fourth house is your house, fourth house is your home. So the 12th house from the fourth house becomes the third house. Follow me? Right? So there's 12 houses. in
No,
total.
sorry, can you please repeat that?
Yeah. So there's 12 houses, right? So the previous house, or also known as the 12th house, because there's 12 houses in total. So the 12th house from any house. So if this is the fourth house, the 12th house for the fourth house will be the third house, right? The previous house from any particular house will negate or will take away the qualities of that house. So the third house is going to take away some of the qualities of the fourth house.
Okay, I understand. Yeah,
Okay.
got it.
That's the first point I want you to understand, and that's why I wanted to talk about the fourth house before I get to change of residence. Okay. If the fourth house is your immediate domestic environment, which is also your home, then when your third house is operating, that house will be taken away from you, which means you're going to relocate. Make sense?
Sorry, one more time?
Okay. So if the fourth house is your house that you live in, okay, the fourth house is your domestic environment because here it says that your residence. Fourth house is your house that you live in. It's your domestic environment. As we had just discussed that the 12th house from any particular house will take away some of the aspects or qualities of that house.
Yeah.
Third house will take away some of the qualities of your fourth house. What are some of the qualities of the fourth house? Your fourth house is your residence, the home that you live in. Okay, so when the third house is operating, that is a little advanced. Operating, when I say operating, there's two ways to look at a chart. You can basically break down a chart in two main aspects, if you want to call it so. One is the static aspect of a chart, and the other aspect of the chart is the dynamic aspect. What we're going to study here is the very basic level of the static aspect. And the static aspect tells you what you're likely to face in your life. Okay, so in this course, we're going to go over what it is that you are going to face throughout your life. The dynamic aspect of the chart will tell you when you're going to face those promises that are promised in your chart. So when or if you guys ever decide to get into the advanced side of birth chart readings, and when you see that the third house is active, when the period of the third house will operate, it will take away some of the qualities or aspects of the fourth house, which
Okay,
means that
okay.
when someone's third house is operating, they will lose their resonance. They will see problems in their, when the third house is operating, some of the qualities of the fourth house will be taken away. So, comforts, luxuries, the person may face issues in that area of their life as well. Equally, say the first house, right? We were going back to the first house. We had gone over the fact that the first house is your physical body. Okay, therefore it also represents your health because it's your physical body. When the 12th house is operating, we're gonna get more into detail when we get to the 12th house. But when the 12th house is operating, it will take away some of the qualities of the first house. That's why the 12th house is also known as, it doesn't necessarily just represent diseases, but it will hamper your health. It will affect your health because it's taken away from the first house qualities. All right. Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that later.
Sorry, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So when you said operates, I know this is a more advanced topic, but when you said operates in that house, is that you have transit to that house, or the ruler of that house is in
So,
a square or something?
okay. So when you're talking about advanced level chart reading, what you're talking about right now is a dynamic reading or dynamic aspect of a birth chart, which is gonna tell us when those promises will come to forefront. Will be looked at by two different ways. One is transits, and the other one is progression. Okay, but I would
Oh, I
say
see.
primarily progression. Progression is gonna tell you um, when things are likely to happen, and then in order to lock an event that it is going to happen at that particular moment, you will use transits as well. But you may not even need transits if you can use progression, if you're sufficient as at using progressions only.
Oh, okay,
Transits,
I see.
yeah, there's a lot of different ways of predicting as to when something is going to happen, and transits are used primarily in the Western astrology. Progressions are also used, but transits are their main go-to, to my understanding. In Vedic astrology, progressions are used primarily, um, and then transits are just used to kind of confirm um, that the event is going to take place whenever it's supposed to take place. And the progression in Vedic astrology and Vedic astrology are known as dashas. I don't know if any of you has ever heard the term before. They're
No,
called,
this is the first time.
yeah, they're called dashas. So
Oh, okay.
dashas is basically a progression of planets. It will tell you when a certain time period is operating and what that time period is basically promising in your birth chart. Right? That is the progression, and then you will use transits on top of that to further clarify when exactly the event is about to take place.
This
Okay,
is
thank
Pawan.
you.
I just want to ask one question.
Yep.
So when we say like the influence of 12 on 1, or in this case, influence of 3 on 4, does it mean previous house can override what current house has to offer? Like 3 can override
Um, I wouldn't say override. It is just going to take away some of the qualities. Okay, and what?
diminish?
Sorry.
Does it
Yes,
diminish
yes,
effect?
yes. In a negative way, it will. Again, it gets detailed. I'm giving you a very basic overview, and if you want to talk about a basic overview, yes, it is going to harm the qualities of that particular house. So, just to give it a very brief idea, when your 12th house is operating, I've seen many, many times when the 12th house is operating, because it's the 12th from the first house, which is your physical body and your health. People would start complaining of weakness. You'll know more so you'll understand more when we get to the 12th house, but you will start feeling lack of strength / weakness. And that's why 12th house is also seen as isolation and hospitals and whatnot. But we'll get to that point. But you're right that the 12th house from any house or the previous house from any particular house is going to harm the qualities of that house.
Okay. Does it have same on negative things as well? Like if
Yes, definitely. So when we get, yes, absolutely. We'll get to that when we get to the 6th house. And the 6th house is the house of diseases. Therefore, the 5th house is going to take away the diseases. See what I'm trying to say?
okay, thank you.
Welcome. So the 5th house is your children, okay? In particular, your first child, but for now, we can just say children. If somebody has a question whether I will have children, will I have any problems in conceiving, you go into the 5th house. Since the children are your creation, creativity is also seen from the 5th house, right? Your intelligence and your primary education is also seen from the 5th house. When I say education, not post-secondary. Up until high school, in general, you can look at from the 5th house. Therefore, your intelligence also falls under your 5th house. Any question regarding the 5th house? Okay. People that are coming from Western astrology will probably understand the significance of 120-degree aspects. Okay. How and that 120-degree aspect is a supportive aspect, 120. So, anyways, coming from that perspective, you will see that 1, 5, and 9 are all 120 degrees apart from each other because these houses or the signs are all 30 degrees each. What I'm trying to tell you here is that the 5th house is going to support the 1st house because it is 120 degrees, just like the 9th house is going to support the 5th house. Okay, so these three are in so-called trine to each other. Okay. That is why the 5th house is the house of recovery also, because it supports your physical body. Another reason why the 5th house is the house of recovery, as we had discussed earlier, is because the 6th house also represents diseases. Okay? And as I had just told you guys, that the 12th house from any house, if the 6th house represents diseases, this house will take away those diseases. In other words, when someone's going through ill health, any kind of ill health, any kind of issues, the 5th house, when the 5th house is operating, again, that's advanced topic, but when the 5th house operates is when you say the 6th house is operating, someone calls you and tells you I'm having horrible health issues, I don't know what's going to happen, and you see that their 5th house is starting to operate in the next month and a half. You can tell them you will start to feel better in the next 2 months. And that's exactly what happens. Any questions here?
No, all clear, thanks.
Okay. The 6th house. So in astrology, you'll see that there's 3 houses that are considered quote unquote bad or negative houses. So those are the 6th, 8th, and 12th houses. Okay. And as you can see here, diseases, enemies, debt, and competition are some of the attributes of the 6th house. Therefore, it's considered a negative house. You see, as you see competition, your enemies, your open enemies, people that are openly your enemies, are seen from the sixth house. When your sixth house is operating, just like we just discussed, when your fifth house starts to operate, you will start to recover from your diseases, or you'll be able to beat any disease if you get that disease during a fifth house period. But when your sixth house is operating, it is very likely that you may fall sick. You may have to face enemies, stress, challenges are seen from the sixth house. That's why it is one of the least desired houses. Any questions about the sixth house? I'm gonna share my email address in the comments, and if you email me, I can just share this PDF with you guys. Whoever wants the PDF. Okay, so okay, well, seventh house is the house of partnerships and marriage. It's a very popular house when it comes to questions and clients, because it tells you what kind of spouse you will have, whether you will get married or not, what kind of marriage you will have, the nature of your spouse. Sorry, there shouldn't be competition. Competition is the sixth house. This should not be here. Business, because business is also a sort of a partnership, or can be sort of a partnership. Business in general is seen from the seventh house. It's one of the most popular houses to discuss when people come to you asking about their birth charts. Sixth house also represents divorce, by the way. Can anyone tell me why the sixth house represents divorce?
Because of what you were saying, that the previous house takes away from the next house, right? Because
Yep.
that would be
Yeah.
the 12th house. Yeah.
Absolutely, you're right. Now, the sixth house, as you can tell, the kind of energy the sixth house holds, right? Enemies, competition. Plus, it will take away some of the attributes of the seventh house. So you can tell that I'm not saying it will, but it may lead to a divorce. There's other houses that have to come into play to cause that divorce, but essentially it will cause difference of opinion in your marriage, because see what kind of energy when say someone's married and the sixth house is operating, and it's connecting with their seventh house. Okay, when we get into planets and all that stuff, we'll see when your time period, or when the dasha or the progression, in the progression you're seeing that the person is going through the sixth house and the seventh house time period, you can tell them they're going to face issues either in their business or in their marriage, because it's going to start to affect the seventh house in a negative way. You need more affliction on the seventh house than just the sixth house to cause a divorce, but it's enough to cause issues in the marriage and disputes in the marriage. Any questions about the seventh house? Did anyone know these qualities of these houses, or is this absolutely new to you guys?
No, I wasn't too familiar with them.
Okay.
But can you just, I get it, but can you, sorry, just repetition works for me a little bit. Sorry, just a quick high level recap of what you just said about the seventh house operating and then causing the sixth house, like something
So
about business, divorce. Sorry.
yeah, it may be too much if I talk about it, but just in a nutshell, when a house is operating, again, that's advanced topic. When the sixth house will operate, obviously, it will take away the qualities of the seventh house, or it will try to damage the qualities of the seventh house, right? When your sixth house is operating, and if you're operating a business, it will be bad for your business. If you're married, you have a family, you're married, it's gonna start to affect your marriage in a negative way, right? If there's a lot more affliction, we'll get into that later. If there's a lot more affliction on the seventh house than just the sixth house during that time period, it can definitely easily cause a divorce,
Okay, understood. Thank you.
right? Because the seventh house is essentially all of these things that you see minus competition. This should be here. I'll remove that. Everything else, as you can see, partners, like marriage is basically partnership. So is business. So these qualities, these areas, this area of your life is going to take a hit when the sixth house is operating in your birth chart.
Got it. Thank you very much.
Oh. Eighth house. The eighth house is simply the house of problems. When someone's eighth house is operating, majority of the people that will come to you when you're reading someone's birth chart is when their sixth, eighth, or 12th is operating. Either they're suffering from some sort of a disease, enemies. Sixth house is also litigation, by the way. Litigation, right? Because as you can see, enemies. It can also lead to litigation. So even bodily pain, bodily suffering, right, is seen. Any chronic issues, chronic disease is also seen. Chronic problems seen from the eighth house. Okay. Now here's a bit of a trick question. It also represents money that belongs to other people. That's not your money. And can anyone tell me why it's the other people's money? Fine.
Oh, because of the 12th house situation, like because the 7 is your spouse, then the 8 would be inherited money or not? Oh, am I wrong? I don't know.
And not exactly. So basically, see how this is you. The first house was you, right?
Yeah.
Did we discuss the first house is the person? If we're looking at someone's birth chart, the first house
Yeah.
is them as a whole, while the rest of the houses is going to break down the details of what aspect of your life we're talking about. But the first house represents you. If this is your birth chart, then this first house represents you as a whole. And the second house from there was your money.
Oh,
If in the seventh house, right across from the first house, represents other people as well. If you saw here,
yeah.
other people, it's not you. So your opposition almost, not opposition, but the other people across from you, the other people. So the second house from that house becomes the money of others. The second house is the money that you have accumulated, that you have earned. That's your money. This is their money. That's
Okay.
why when you get inheritance, it is actually unearned money. Therefore, inheritance is also seen from the eighth house because that is it's not your money, it's someone else's money that you're getting when they leave.
Got it.
It also represents your in-laws, and there's also a bit of logic behind it. If this is you, the first house, and this is your family, the second house, and if this is the spouse, this becomes their family. Therefore, their family becomes your in-laws. Make sense?
Yep.
The ninth house is actually one of the most auspicious houses in a birth chart because it's, first of all, it's one of the 159 trine houses. It's the fifth and the ninth house are both very supportive to the first house, so they're actually, when they operate, it's actually a good time. It can show a good time in your life. Fifth house will show recovery, intelligence. The ninth house will show luck. Fortune is seen from the ninth house. When the ninth house is operating, it can be beneficial, it can be helpful. It also represents religion, and therefore it also represents ethical activities from the ninth house. Religion is also seen from the ninth house. Remember, we looked at the fifth house, we said it was education, but not post-secondary. Anything that falls under higher education falls under the ninth house domain. It's
Yeah, I think
also,
that's different, right, from the Western astrology reading charts. I think the third house is like education, and then the ninth, because it's like in front of that house, is higher education.
the Westerns, you're saying the Westerners look at the third house as their primary education?
Yeah,
Okay, possible. I am not too sure about that. As we discussed, when we looked at the third house, we said the third house was the short distance travels. Right across from the third house is long distance travel. When I say long distance travels, it would be, say, from here to Ottawa, from Toronto to Ottawa kind of thing. It's long distance travel. But not, when I say long distance travel, I do not mean foreign travel. That's also long distance, but it's a different house. We'll get to that house later. So ninth house is you still staying domestic within your country, but it is long distance. That is the ninth house. Your father, teachers, and mentors are also seen from the ninth house. Your gurus, basically. The 10th house is also a very popular house because it's the house of profession, career, authority positions are also seen from the 10th house. Therefore, your bosses can also be seen from the 10th house. Okay, so this will tell you what kind of a profession the native or the person will get into. Can anyone tell me why the ninth house could actually be bad in any way? Because when we looked at the ninth house, it was such a positive house. Only good things are seen in the points. Because can you guess why the ninth house could possibly be negative?
I'm
Because-
guessing. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Whoever was speaking.
No, go ahead. I was just guessing anyways.
Okay, I'm guessing too. Well, it seems like the ninth house has a lot of influential people in it. So if you're getting people that are not there for you or are not, stepping up, then it's gonna impact your 10th house.
That's not what I was trying to actually point at. It's something else. Did someone else want to try?
Could you repeat the question if you don't mind?
I just wanted to see. I just wanted to see if you guys can guess why. Well, I mean, we just went over the ninth house, okay, and there's only positive things listed in the ninth house. I don't see anything negative here, but it could be why. When we look at the 10th house, why could the ninth house possibly be negative?
Okay, I'm
So
guessing
my gu-
two. Oh, sorry. Keep going, keep going.
Okay. Before I forget. So my guess would be the ninth house because it is such a positive house, but it has like your higher education, your lux, you have mentors, perhaps you're gaining more knowledge, perhaps, and therefore you're making changes to your 10th house, like you're changing profession. So you might go into, say, conflict with your boss if you have one, right? Or causing like
You're on the right track. Right track.
yeah, causing like your self-conflict in terms of making decisions for your career,
Okay,
possibly.
so when we're talking, if okay, so you said it. It's change in profession. It may take away for your profession because it's 12 from your profession. Okay,
Right.
it may take away your job, your profession, or it may bring changes to your profession.
Yeah.
Whether it will demolish your profession, so there's also a possibility that the ninth house may demolish it. Profession is like strongly um, damage it. It could, but then other negative planets and other negative houses will have to come into play as well. But for now, it can definitely take away your profession because we had just gone over the concept of the 12th house will damage any or could damage some of the qualities of that house that we're looking at. So the 12th house from the 10th house becomes the ninth house. It can take away the qualities of your 10th house, which means it could take away your career. When the ninth house is operating, very often the native will change their profession or it will be taken away from them. When you see someone come to you um, talking about their profession, it's going to give you a very basic idea. Okay, so if someone comes to you and they're currently going through their 10th house time period, and you see some problem in the 10th house, and in the next month and a half, you see their ninth house operating, and the 10th house is also afflicted, and a whole bunch of other stuff is going on, which is advanced topic. I think it is safe to tell the person that you may either lose your job in the next month and a half, especially when he's telling you there's a lot of conflicts happening at work, or he may face changes. He may lose his position. Some changes, he could either lose his job, his profession, or there may be some changes. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. The best house in the chart is the 11th house. It's the house everyone wants. It shows gains and profits. It also shows your elder siblings. Remember, the third house was your younger siblings. So these are the people that will come after you. When you're born, the third house is the people that will come after you. You are the third house from the 11th house. So this is your elder siblings. Okay. Your network circle, your friends are also seen from the 11th house. Okay. Uh, Not administration, sorry. Administration was the 10th house. This would be administration, no, sorry, not the 11th house. So don't worry about administration and authority, but your network circle, elder siblings, gains and profits. Okay. Again, this is advanced, but just to give you an idea, if someone tells you how is this time period going to go for me, and you see their second house is operating and their 11th house is operating, financially you will definitely do very well because second house is the house of finances, the 11th house is the house of gains and profits, right? You see their 10th house and their 11th house operating, you can tell them there will be gains and profits with respect to your career. That can show promotions. Any questions regarding the 11th house?
Yeah, just curious because you did mention advance. So I didn't know that two houses can be operating at once. Well, with what we're learning right now. So when that happens, what would be the result of the takeaway? Would it be like two houses previous to that, or you know how we're just saying, like for example, how house
Mhm.
number 9 operating and then house number 10 suffers?
Yes.
So two houses operate, then which one suffers? Does the same rule applies?
Say same rule will apply. Again, this is it's gonna get the more I talk about that concept, the more complicated it's gonna get. But say your fifth house and your 12th house. Say your fifth house and your sixth house is operating. Okay? So your fifth house and your sixth house is operating. But at a time you'll have this is more advanced, but that's why you have to start off slow. You can have up to many houses operating at the same time. And that is why you're not just going at any given time, you're not just going through your profession. There's a lot of things happening at the same time that you just neglect or ignore. Say the fifth and the sixth house are operating at the same time. Okay. It's great for your health, but it may be negative for your business. See what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, thank you.
Fifth house is operating, you were sick, all of a sudden you feel fantastic, but end up losing the business or the partner. Okay?
Interesting. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. 12th house, a mystical house. It shows spirituality. You see, the first house is your body, physical body, your physical existence. So the 12th from it will take away from it, can hospitalize you. If this is the physical existence, this is the metaphysical existence. It will show your spiritual side. Meditation. It also shows foreign lands. Okay. When someone's asking you, I'm trying to move to a different country, say for example, and you see their 12th house will start to operate in the next year. Then you tell them now is not the time for you to try to move abroad, but December onwards is positive for you to put your efforts towards traveling abroad. Because that is the house of foreign country, foreign lands. So remember when we said the third house, short distance travels, ninth house was long distance travels, but not foreign country. 12th, the 12th house will show crossing the border. That is the other side. Just like meditation, right? Can also be considered the other side. When you see someone's sixth house, does anyone remember which house was the house of diseases?
Yeah, the sixth house.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. When someone's sixth house is connecting with their 12th house, what can you tell them?
That's seriously ill.
Their chances they're gonna get hospitalized.
Yeah,
Hmm.
maybe a surgery or something like that.
Nope, surgery is not the sixth house. Surgery is the eighth
No?
house. Surgery is eighth
Oh,
house.
okay. Okay.
I'm just trying to give you an idea as to how you can connect the dots because again, this is the very basic of the basic, but until you don't understand this, you won't be able to connect houses. And reading a birth chart is all about connecting houses and planets.
You know, it's extremely gratefully helpful. I think it clarifies a lot from what I'm hearing and reading. It makes a lot of sense what you're doing. Thank you.
Yes, yes, yeah. And this, as I said, when you're going through videos, when you're going through books, I mean, books can do a better job, but YouTube videos and all the information that is available online, it will give you a lot of points. Whatever I'm telling you so far, all the points that I've given you so far, what these houses represent, you can find it on, there's a lot of websites, a lot of YouTube videos that are out there. But what you need to learn if you want to dissect a birth chart is how to connect those points. Because until you don't learn how to connect the points, it's not going to take you to the level to be able to predict or analyze what this person is going to be facing during this time period. And a birth chart is nowadays it's used as a prediction tool more so, but it's actually best used as a guidance tool. Say someone's coming to you, as I just told you, someone's looking to move to Australia, and they've been trying for a long time and it's not working, and you see that their 12th house is not operating until 2026. And he's trying his best and nothing's happening. When should he try it? He should try it when his 12th house is operating. And when his 12th house is operating and he's trying to move abroad, it will work. Because his chart will basically be favoring any 12th house related activities, which is foreign travels. See what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. I guess a quick follow-up question on that, it may be too advanced, but I'm just curious. It begs the question, how do you know when your next house is operating? I know it's a planet and all that stuff. You have to learn that.
It's basically progressions. It's
Okay.
progressions. Yes, they're called dashas, which are progressions, which will tell you it all the starting point of the progression is determined by the day and time of your birth. That is the starting point of your progression, and then your dasha, which is basically a sequence of progression. It's a sequence. Will tell you how long a certain time period will operate from the moment of your birth, and then it will then continue in that order, in that sequence of the progression. And
Okay.
then transits are used to further pinpoint, um, um, determine when exactly is it going to happen, or when exactly is it more likely to happen. But dashas alone the progression alone can do it as well. There's many Vedic astrologers that don't even use transits and just do it based on dasha. I personally use both, and I use a few other techniques as well. But this is the very, very basic building blocks of reading birth chart that you should understand if you ever want to make it to. Um, if you want to do it professionally or personally for yourself, for your friends and family, or as a profession, that you have to whatever we're discussing here, you need to understand this very well. And also, if you go to the comments of the meetup of today, you can see I've posted a video. You should look at that video. It'll tell you exactly that the first house is ruled by Mars. Not the first house, the first sign, which is Aries. Second house is Taurus. Third sign is Gemini. Fourth sign is Cancer, and so on. I'll show you guys before we wrap up. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about.
Okay. Thank you.
Has my slide changed, or is it still the same? Do you guys see the slide?
Well, I see the chart.
See chart, okay. You guys see it now?
Yeah. Thank you.
I don't know if you guys wanna, I mean, I will upload the video, you'll have the video to listen to as well, but if you guys wanna screenshot this, it's, this is the language, okay? This is the very building blocks that you need to remember. You have to memorize this. right? So remember the numbers that we saw in the houses, in those boxes? The numbers that you saw in the boxes, so-called
Oh, okay.
houses, these
Yeah.
were the numbers. And these are their corresponding signs.
Hmm.
And these are the corresponding rulers.
Mhm. Can you maybe, since we're on this chart, can you explain their connection? Because I don't understand their connection. Like house number 9, Sagittarius,
Okay.
ruled by Jupiter, I heard, but how does house number 9 and Sagittarius connect?
So these are not sorry, who's this?
It's Monica.
Monica, these are not house numbers. These are sign numbers, sorry.
Oh, sign number.
These are sign numbers. And in the beginning of the class, I told you that the, 1 second.
Yeah, you mentioned sign is not house. So what is a sign number? I'm so sorry. I'm so basic.
That's fine, that's fine. That's fine. Let's do this. This is probably a better idea over here. Okay, see this website?
Okay. Yeah, I see.
Okay, so this is a birth chart, okay?
Okay.
This is a birth chart. The numbers that you see in the birth chart are not the house numbers. These are the signs. This is the first sign, the second sign, third sign. It will move based on your time of birth. Okay, say a certain person is born at a certain time, this is going to be the birth chart. But
Okay.
and do you see my cursor on the left side? This becomes an Aries ascendant. Aries ascendant because Aries is sitting in your first house.
Aries is in my first house. How do
This
I
is the-
know it's Aries?
do you remember this being the first house and this being the second house and this being the third
Yep.
house? So
Yep.
that is never going to change. Okay, always remember that the fact that this is the first house, this is the second house is never going to change. Now look at this. Taurus. When I click on Taurus, now you see
Mm.
sign number 2 in the first house, 3, 4, 5, 6 onwards. Just because it says 2 here doesn't make this the second house. This will remain the first house. And the qualities that we discussed of the first house will remain the qualities of the first house. It is
Mm.
just that now the sign of Taurus will slightly change the quality of the first house. When we said this first house shows your nature, your body type, your outlook, your behavior. Now there's some influence of Taurus in there because the second sign is the sign of Taurus. Third
Okay.
sign is the sign of Gemini. And that is the video that I've shared with you guys. If you guys watch that video, it will make it that much easier,
Okay. Okay.
right?
Sorry.
Have you,
Yep.
any of you guys ever heard the term Taurus rising or Gemini rising, Cancer rising?
Yep.
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 So this is your rising. This is your rising. Whatever number falls in this house becomes your rising sign. So say someone's a Libra rising. Rising and ascendant are the same thing. Okay.
Mm. Mm.
Someone says a Libra rising. This is what their chart will look like. When they're Libra rising, okay, 7th house is the house of Libra. Sorry, not the 7th house. 7th sign is the sign of Libra. Okay.
Seven
Will
sign.
tell you the person will have Libra kind of his rising, his appearance may be more Libra like. His behavior may be more Libra like.
Right.
Okay. And then how do you connect houses? Just to give you a brief idea. Anyone know the ruler of Libra?
I think it's Venus, right?
Correct. The ruler, I mean, you'll see it was on the previous slide. Everything is listed on the previous slide. What what number corresponds to what sign? You see right here, 8 is Scorpio, 11 is Aquarius, and so on. You'll see it on that PDF.
Okay.
On that PDF, you'll also see who the ruler is of that sign. Okay. And as someone has just said, the ruler of Libra is Venus. Okay. Just to give you a very brief idea, you want to talk about this person right here who's a Libra rising, and their Venus is sitting in the fourth house. This is Venus, VE. Okay.
Yeah.
Native, his behavior, his outlook, the way he is. The first house. The ruler of the first house is sitting in the fourth house.
Okay.
He is very much attached to the fourth house because the ruler of the first house is sitting in the because the ruler of the first house, which is you, is sitting in the fourth house. It tells me that you are very attached. You are very much about the qualities of the fourth house. Fourth house was your domestic environment. A lot of people, a lot of people with their first house ruler sitting in their fourth house can tell you that this person loves staying at home, easily homesick, very close to their mother too, because the fourth house is also their mother. Let's move Venus, which is the ruler of, which basically shows his personality, because 7 number is Libra, and the ruler of 7 Libra is Venus. Now let's move Venus from the fourth house to, say, the 10th house. Now the ascendant lord, this is the ascendant, it's your rising sign, being Libra. The lord of the first house is now sitting in the 10th house. Remember we said the 10th house was your career?
Yeah.
Safe to assume that this person is very career oriented because the ruler of the first house is now gone into the 10th house. Person is very career oriented, profession oriented. Can anyone tell me the okay, so the ruler of Scorpio?
Mars, I think.
Yep, that's correct. It's Mars. I was hoping no one's gonna say Pluto because we're not gonna get into that, into the outer planets here. What can you say about this person? So, ruler of Scorpio, 8th house represents Scorpio. Ruler of Scorpio goes into the 12th house. What could you say about this person? Has gone into the 12th house.
I'm gonna guess that they are highly spiritual, very
Perfect.
yeah.
Perfect. You can, it's one of the possibilities that the person is highly spiritual. It is also very possible that this, you can say that this person may live abroad one day. But the 12th house showing spirituality was probably the most accurate one. Say someone is, say someone has the 9th house in the first, the 9th sign in the first house. See this? 9th sign. Sagittarius. And their Jupiter is sitting in the, it's sitting in the 9th house.
So I'm guessing they are very lucky, or they may be going through some educations or travel.
It's you're very much on the right track. Who is this?
Monica, the new learner.
Yeah, no, it's true. So when the ascendant lord, right, say it was a number 9 number chart. When I say 9 number chart, number 9 chart, that means you'll see number 9 in the first house. And when you see number 9 in the first house, it tells you, okay, it tells you that this person is a Sagittarius rising, because you'll see 9 in the first house. That's their rising sign. And then you'll see that their corresponding sign, 9 number, is Sagittarius. Anyone remember the ruler of Sagittarius?
Jupiter. I think.
Correct. And Monica just said that this person is lucky. It is very safe to assume. I mean, you got to look at the whole chart. There's a lot of other factors. There's 9 planets. Right now, we're just looking at 1 planet. Cancel Mars for now. So this person, because this represents the person himself, the ruler of that person has gone into the 9th house. So 9th house related matters will mean a lot to this person. A lot. This person may be highly religious. Do you remember the 9th house representing religion?
Yes.
May be highly religious. This person may be all about the higher education. He may love long distance travels, higher education, philosophical studies, because the 9th house is also religion, therefore philosophical studies. See what I'm trying to say? This is how you would see. So when you're talking about a birth chart and someone says, "Oh, he's a Sagittarius rising," yeah, you can give him Jupiterian qualities because the ruler is Jupiterian, but Jupiter, you also have to look at what house Jupiter is sitting in, and then you have to mix those qualities of Jupiter with the qualities of that house to give you a more accurate understanding as to what the person is like. One last example before we go. Where is Jupiter? What house is Jupiter sitting in right now?
First house.
No.
2.
Jupiter is sitting.
Remember what house this is?
Oh.
That is
Six.
sixth.
Correct. You always count from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh, okay.
6th house also represents service. Maybe very service-oriented person. 6th house is also the house of enemies, right? Litigation. This person is going to be facing enemies and litigation throughout his life when the 6th house is operating. Because this person, the ruler of this person has moved, is sitting in the 6th house. Therefore, he will be experiencing a lot of 6th house related events throughout his life. Make sense? Any questions up until now before we wrap up?
Yeah, just a follow-up question on that. So the ruler, let's say the Jupiter that you just used, it moves when the planet moves?
Nope, this is your birth chart. This is what your birth chart is going to look like. It's not going to.
Oh, so like, oh, sorry. So it means that your birth chart, whenever you born, day and time, and then it shows you where your ruler is?
Exactly. Your birth chart is nothing but a snapshot of the skies of
When you're born.
at the time you were born. The exact time you were born, that's a snapshot of the skies. So this tells me, just by looking at this chart, that when this person was born, Sagittarius was rising, and Jupiter was sitting in what sign? Jupiter sitting in Taurus. So you know when people tell you, "Oh, I'm a Scorpio, I'm a Virgo," that's their sun sign.
Yeah.
Right? When someone's a Virgo with Jupiter with a Sagittarius rising, this is what their chart is going to look like. because they're Sagittarius rising, but their sun is in the sixth house, sixth sign, and the sixth sign is a sign of Virgo. So all this person is going to tell you that I'm a Virgo because he's born in a certain month, right? September. Say he's born in September. All this person knows about themselves is that they're Virgo, but they have no idea that their life is going to be revolving around the sixth house activity for majority of their life,
Mm,
right?
yeah. Is this the real one or is this just an example?
It's an example.
Oh, okay, okay.
Remember the fifth house represented? I'm gonna throw a little bit of a curveball at you here. Remember the ninth house was the house of fathers?
Yeah.
Who's the ruler of what sign is the fifth sign?
Signs, the fifth signs.
Leo.
Leo. Who's the ruler of Leo?
The sun.
Sun. Yeah.
Ruler, perfect. Ruler of the fifth sign, sitting in the ninth house, is sitting in the 10th house. Okay. This person's father, because ninth house is father, will have a huge impact on his career because the ruler of the ninth house, being sun, is sitting in the 10th house of career. And there's a total of 9 planets. Okay. So there's gonna be a recording of this, and I will, if you, hold on, I'm gonna share my email address and I will share it with you guys. I'll also share it on in the comment section. And then whoever wants a recording of this, I'll just send it to them. Let me just type my email address.
Thank you so much.
See my email address?
Yep. You got it.
Okay. If anyone wants a recording, just shoot me an email. I'll send you guys a recording once it's ready. Okay. Watch this video. Watch it once, maybe watch it twice. Any questions? We'll discuss it in the next class. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Amazing.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Okay. Was someone try to say something, or is that it? That's it. I think someone was trying. Okay, guys. Thank you very much. Take care and have a good week. See you guys next weekend.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Welcome. Bye.